Good morning, stampers and crafters. Welcome to Tina's Crafty Ink Spot. I'm Tina, and for today's Team Stamp It blog hop, the theme is Christmas. So I have a really fun, cute card for you. Now, you know I don't do fun folds very often, but this is really adorable. It's called a pull tab flip card. So when you have your card here, you have a little pull tab. What? And it opens up to a new image. It's super simple to do. Trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. Just saying. And you still have your standard greeting on the inside. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make this card together. In the description below this blog video, I've created a PDF for you that has all the measurements that we've used today and all the supplies we've used. And then you can just refer to the video on how to assemble the card. Now, to save time, I've taken all of these measurements that we have right here, and I've already cut them out for us. That saves us some time. What I do want you to know, to do all these cuts, which is super simple, I did use the rectangle stitch dies. So these are my go-to item, and they're just simple. They make short work of everything. So in the reference of the supply measurements, when I refer to rectangle die 1, I'm starting from the largest and going downward. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So you'll be able to understand that in the instructions here where it'll say number 3, largest stitched rectangle, okay? That's what that means, just to clarify. And these you're going to use for almost the whole thing. And your Stampin' Trimmer. So what you're going to start with is your A2 card base, which I've done in Pacific Point. Okay, this is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I've made my insert panel, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So let's go ahead and get our stamping started. And what we'll do is we'll do all the stamping first, and then we'll assemble everything. So for the inside of the card, we are using 3 different stamp sets today. Okay. We're using Snowman Season, which these little snowmen are absolutely adorable. We're also using Nothing Better Than, because we need this little coffee cup and the chocolate, because our little snowman's drinking some hot chocolate. And if you don't have this set, you have to get it. It's absolutely adorable. You have a little melted snowman here, and it says, sadly, Frosty's first hot cocoa turned out to be his last, and he's all melted. Isn't that adorable? So that gave me the idea that we would do our snowman, and we'd have him drinking some hot chocolate, so it's a hot chocolate kind of day. Then when you open it, of course, he melted, and then the sentiment is just perfect for it, hoping this season builds heartwarming memories. I just thought it was cute. You know me, I kind of think of odd ways to use several stamps at once. So anyway, let's get started. I'll quit jabbering. You know how I get. Okay, so we're going to do our insert. Bring in our Stamparatus, which I cannot live without, so if you don't have one, I suggest you get it. Okay, so we wanted to do our inside greeting so we'll just line that up. We'll line up Merry Christmas. And then I wanted to carry the design through to the inside of the card, so I'm going to use this little coffee cup, or hot cocoa cup, whatever you want to call it. And since it's photopolymer, I can do it at the same time I do these. If you have rubber stamps and photopolymer, you can't really stamp them all at once. So we're just going to line all those up. Looks like I need to add new ribbon to my magnet. When you put ribbon or tape on your magnets, little FYI, if they clink together, the cushion of the tape or the ribbon kind of helps keep them from breaking. I've broken a lot of magnets. Thankfully, they're inexpensive and you can use the chunks. Let's line these up. And I'm just going to use Memento Black for this. I apologize for the glove. I know the glove bothers some of you. I apologize for that. I still don't have really good use of this hand, and the pressure of the glove helps me use my hand, so I apologize if it's distracting. But it's the only way I can kind of do video and stamp these days. Okay, I'm going to just bring in a baby wipe to clean these stamps real quick. Then I'm going to take out our little snowman from this set. Now there's 2 snowmen in this set, and the one I chose, you can build a snowman here, which we could do. This guy just as simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him out. Oh, and we're also going to need his little hat. And the reason I'm going to change his hat, I'll show you real quick, is you can leave this hat on there. It's fine. But when you look at the other stamp set, he has a top hat on. So that's the only reason I changed his hat here. So it kind of coordinates. That part you can do if you want or if you don't want. So we need that, and we need his little hat. And right here, take your cinnamon cider dark Stampin' Blend, and all I'm going to do is add a little bit of hot chocolate right there. And it just kind of carries it through your card, the design. And you can color the cup to match if you want to. I'm not going to on this particular one. So now we have the inside of our card done. And now, the first layer of the card I did in regular Whisper White, and I don't know if you can see it, and there's not going to be a lot of space you can see, so you can do this. You can opt in or out, but I embossed it with the, what's it called? It's in the supplies. It's the snowflake embossing folder. So it just adds a little nice embossing there. So let's just go ahead and attach that piece so it doesn't wander away from my workspace here. Oops, get my glue going here. First thing in the morning, gotta get the glue rolling. And you can use whatever adhesive you want here, Stampin' Seal or glue or whatever it is you like to use. So I'm just going to put a real thin coat on there. And let's attach it to our card base. And we might as well go ahead and put our insert in there while we've got it here. Okay, we got that done, and we're going to set that aside. And now let's start on, now there's 2 sizes to the flip we're doing here. So we have our larger size, and then when you open it, the smaller size. So the larger will hide. Now if you want, this again is another way you can do it. So you can do them both the same size if you'd like. there's really no rules to this. You can do any sizes here. You can do squares, you can do ovals, whatever it is you'd like to do. To keep it simple, I'm just going to do my rectangles. So now, let's take our biggest piece. I'm going to line it up here. And we got our little snowman. And I'm going to show you a trick on how I changed his hat. A little snowman there. I'm going to do the cup. Okay, you know if I set this somewhere, I'm never going to find it. So I'm just going to stick it right back onto the case. So what I want to do is I have this ready. And I'm going to put it down to the lower, kind of lower edge of the paper. Oh, I seriously just dropped my ink pad into my lap. Alrighty then. It's early here. It's really early. Matter of fact, my dog's still sleeping behind me. I hope her snoring isn't bothering you. I can hear it. Hopefully it's not showing. It's not on our video. Okay, now, before I stamp this, I'm going to bring in my baby wipe. And I'm just going to gently wipe the ink off of his hat. And a couple of those little snowflakes. You can do this also by trying to put a piece of sticky note there if you want. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because remember you're going to be stamping your hat there. But I noticed when I stamped the hat and left this one, his little fluffy on his snow cap stuck through the top hat. So that's the only reason I just wiped part of it off. Okay, so that, I actually wiped some of his face off, so I'm going to restamp that. And I'm just going to use the corner of my ink pad and try to ink the area I need that I missed. Normally that's a lot simpler than it, I just made it seem. And sometimes I can't get solid pressure. So let's see how we did that. Oh, we moved. Oh my. Alright. I'm going to actually go cut us another piece. If you look, see he moved and it's all blurry. So this is number 3 die. Let me go cut a scrap real quick. I'll fast forward through the video. Okay, let's try that one more time. There we go. Let's line this little guy up. You can also, if you don't want to wipe off your stamp, you can also do marker to stamp technique here. And what you would do is you would ink up majority of your stamp. Okay. And then you would take your Stampin' Right black marker and color the areas you wanted to stamp. Okay, so now this could even be a little bit easier if you wanted to do it this method. And that way you don't have to try to just wipe off his hat. So there's two ways, that's 2 ways you can do that. I'm going to ink up the bottom of this a little bit, make sure it's inked up well. And hopefully we stamped and it doesn't move. There we go. Got our little guy. And his face is still there. I just have to add his hat. See, I told you I'd lose his little hat. There it is. So now, since it's photopolymer, you can see where it goes here. So we're just going to kind of line it up there. And I'm going just above his nose Pick up our hat. And there we go, look at that. There's a little hat. If you want, just take your black Stampin' Write marker. Oops, I would use the fine tip. And then just connect right there to his head. You're all good. He's got his little hat on. Okay, now, sorry, pretty clumsy. Let's grab our coffee cup. And I'm going to take the handle of his coffee cup and I'm going to just kind of overlap his little hand there. Because we want it to look like he's pouring hot chocolate into his mouth. We'll ink that up. There we go, look at that. It's a perfect little coffee cup. And then I took my black Stampin' Write marker and I drew a little tiny teardrop right here. Just right off the end of the cup. I'll bring that up to the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. So see there, I just drew a little teardrop right at the end of that. It's going to look like it's pouring into his mouth. So let's move forward here. So now let's go to our chocolate greeting, his chocolate milk. Now in this Nothing's Better, you have the word chocolate, so I want to do that one first because I'm going to do that in a separate color. So I'm going to, and make sure you leave yourself some room because we're going to add some other little sentiments right there. So let's straighten that up. Kind of going to center it. And I'm going to do that one in cinnamon cider because it looks perfect like chocolate. I'm a milk chocolate girl, so I mean if you want to make it a dark chocolate, maybe try your soft suede or something like that if you're a dark chocolate kind of girl. Okay, we got our image there all perfect. Now we'll add the other sentiments, which is today is a, oops, and these are tiny. I lost them yesterday. I had to search my craft space to find it. Kind of day, so we're going to offset the kind of day right at the bottom there. I don't know if you notice, or if it happens to you where your polymers kind of stick to your fingers when you're trying to line them up. And today is a, I'm going to put it, having a hard time with those sticking to me. There's got to be an easier way, you think. I need to move that up. Let me see if using my tweezers it won't stick to me as well or as much. Oh, that didn't work either. They're really tiny, so it's... Okay, there we go. Got them lined up. Let's pick them up. And we're just going to do those in the black. That came out perfect. Rip those off. I'm going to put them away right away because, like I said, they're tiny and they stick to everything. And they didn't have a sentiment in here for hot chocolate. So all I did is I took my Stampin' Right marker and I just wrote in kind of the same blocky letter type. There we go. It's a hot chocolate kind of day. Alrighty, let's do all our stamping first and then we'll do some coloring. So let's move this aside and let's do our inside sentiment, or our flip sentiment. I guess that would be our flip card sentiment. And there they go, snap together. Okay, for our flip sentiment, we're going to bring in our Don't Stop Believing and our little melted snowman. And he fits just perfectly in here. And then we need the sentiment, which my magnet's going to be in the way. Let's put our sentiment up here at the top. Make sure that's straight. Pick them up. And we're just going to do these in the black. Perfect. There we go. Let's wipe these off. And we'll just start, since this one's right here, we'll start the coloring on that one first. So when I color things with snow or anything like that, I use one of my real light blue markers, your light seaside spray, or your maybe your what else could you use? You could use balmy blue. You could even get into your Bermuda Bays and things like that if you wanted. You just want a highlight of color. This side. I'm going to take my feather tip here and I'm going to hit the lines that are already on him. Let me see if I can zoom in for the coloring parts of this. Let's see if we can zoom into our camera a little bit here for you. Okay, what do we got? Alright, that's a little better. Now I'm just going to add some little highlight areas. Maybe even a little shadow around the bottom of the melt there. And we're going to coordinate him with what the front's going to be. Now you see the little tiny nose and the holly and everything. Sometimes with your Stampin' Blends the tip is too big. So I would suggest just bring in your regular markers. As a matter of fact, I'm going to grab my pumpkin pie marker. And we'll do his nose. And then we'll use Poppy Parade on the little berries on his hat. So he has 3 little berries there. And Poppy Parade's a nice bright red. And I'm going to use, what is this? Granny Apple Green for the holly leaves. I kind of like using my feather tip. Okay, for his hat band, I'm going to use Rich Razzleberry. Let's see if we can still bring you in just a little closer here. Okay, let's see, maybe that's easier. Okay, hopefully the camera will focus up. So I'm going to use the nib tip, do his band. And then we need our cinnamon cider for the hot chocolate. And for his, I just wrote on myself, for his cup, I was using the Night of Navies. So I'm gonna use the light Night of Navy on this little one. Because there's not a lot you need to do for accents on this one to make, because there's already some lines there that, and it's so small. For his hat, we're going to use the black, dark and light black markers. Here's my dark one. Where is my light black? Here it is, our light pasted black. So I'll take our nib tip, and I'm going to do a little bit of highlights just on the edges. Maybe a little bit here on the top. You know, sometimes you think that it's such a small image that you're not going to notice the two-tone, but when you're up close to it, you will notice. It looks like my camera is having trouble focusing. Maybe I need to have a background behind my image. Let me see if that brings us into focus. No, it really doesn't. Okay. I apologize for that. I've got all new camera equipment. Let me see if I can get us focused here a little bit. Oops, that didn't work. There, maybe that'll do it on its own. It's the new camera equipment's pretty high tech, you know what I mean? So we're gonna take our light black now that we've done our dark highlights. We'll just color in the rest of his hat. Again, on these really small images, if you don't want to use your Stampin' Blends, because sometimes they do tend to bleed if you go too far out. So go a considerable distance inside the lines of your image, and that way when it bleeds out, it bleeds to your line. I'm going to darken up, just tap these little dots just to make them more vibrant. And I'm going to bring in my cinnamon cider dark. Let's do his little arms. And there we go, we're done with that image. So now let's attach it to its mat. All the measurements are there for you on the PDF. Use your favorite adhesive here. See, I just love glue because I can shift it just a little bit to get my lines just perfect. Okay, that piece is done, so we're going to set it aside. Let's do our little guy here. So let's start with himself. We're going to take our Seaside Spray again, and we're going to go around the edges, especially right under his hat and on the edges of his body. Just kind of follow the highlights that are there for you, and you're just adding a little bit. Underneath this scarf, there's a little shadow. Maybe under the buttons, there's a little tiny shadow. Let's put a little shadow under his nose. Maybe by his scarf there, and look at that. You are done with him. Let's bring in pumpkin pie for his nose. And now we're going to do his little hat. Again, I'm going to use my markers for the small parts of the image. So I'm going to color my little berries. I can fast forward through some of this coloring for his cup. I'm going to use the light and dark night and navy again, but this one we're going to have some highlights. So I'll put my dark highlights on. Do a little along the edges there. And if you do like jagged edging, it'll blend easier. So that's why I'm doing a little jagged edge there. Let's grab the light. And kind of do a little circle motion right at the line of where your dark is, right? And it'll blend it really well for you. So don't be afraid to go into that dark color. It's not going to erase it. It's just going to blend it. And you know me, I like using my color lifter to add a little highlight. So all I'm going to do is right where that is going to be the shiniest curve of the cup. Just going to hit it real quick with my lifter, and that'll lighten up. Now let's add our hot cocoa. Okay, so his hot cocoa is pouring out here. So we're going to go to a little bit of an angle where his hot cocoa is pouring. Don't forget the little teardrop you drew on there. Look at that. We got hot cocoa in a cup. See, this color's pretty fast. Let's do our blacks. Let's make sure I got my blacks going here. Okay, let's do our hat. I'm bringing our light black. And we're going to coordinate his band with the one inside, which I used the rich raspberry. So what I want to do is I want to do dark and light rich raspberry on his band of his hat and on his scarf. So I'm going to take the dark first. And I'm going to do these little stripes on his scarf. Okay. And I'm going to use the dark for the band of his hat. Now we'll bring in the light rich raspberry and just color the rest of the scarf. You can go right over what you already colored. It's not going to hurt it. And look at that. There, you are done with your snowman. Real quick little highlights on the tree with shaded spruce. So all I'm going to do is draw right over the lines that are already there. For the little rocks, I'm going to just use some dark smoky slate. Do our little rocks there. Let's bring our seaside spray in again, and just a little bit underneath here, this snow that he's sitting on. Okay. Now, let's bring our Wink Estella in and highlight around him, do him. We can also do the Wink Estella on the melted snowman. Okay, now we're just going to add this one to its mat. square it up. Okay, we are ready to start building our flip. Let's move all these up here. Okay, on the number 3 mat, let's take our images. What I did is I took the smallest stitch rectangle die and I cut a slit in the middle of this mat. You can kind of eyeball it. You can even use one of your punches as long as it's large enough to get your 2-inch pull tab strip through. So let me move you back out so you can see what we're doing here. Let's see, let's move this back out a little bit. Alright, now on the measurements you'll see where I've gave you the scoring measurements. On the end, your little pull tab, okay, I'm just going to bring in our scallop punch. And I like to do mine upside down because I don't want to go all the way up. I want to just barely get enough just to make the scallop top. Make sure it's squared up in there. And when you do that, you've already got the slit for your ribbon and everything. Simple. Okay, now let's create our flip. Now for this, I would suggest, well, I'd almost say you have to, use tear and tape or your Stampin' Seal Plus, which is a really strong tape. So you want a good, strong adhesive that can hold up to the pulling of the tab. Okay, so now this is going to go there. So we've got our score lines. Okay, so see where this one is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our tear and tape. Got ink all over me. And I want to put a strip on that 1/4 inch fold piece we've got there. See that? I'm just going to put one right in there. We're also going to put one here. This is going to hold our little insert. Okay, now to line mine up, what I did was you don't set this down, but you're going to set that there. Slide your tab through. And this will kind of give you an idea where to center your images, okay? I'm kind of just making sure that mat is squared up. And this is where your tab is going to sit, centered in your slit. Okay. Now I'm going to take my smallest one first. Let's take our, I might have to use tweezers to get these off. You know, I love tear and tape. A lot better. Remember the one we had, the red one? I could never get the release paper off, no matter what I did. At least tear and tape's much easier. Okay. So now, oops, stuck it to my finger. So we've got this visually centered. Okay. We've got our pull tab centered in the slit. See there? See where it's centered? And now, you don't want to go over that fold line that you have there. Okay? You want to go right up to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to Move our tab a little bit. I think I got him centered okay. I'm going to center him there. And now we'll take our other piece of adhesive off. So if you did something with 2-inch squares, you would just square it right on your tab. I just kind of do this for a visual where I stick my tab through, line up where it's going to be. Okay, we've got him where we want it. Now we're going to take our main image and we're going to center it. Just center it and lay it down. I may have messed this up. I may have done it backward. I think. I'm not sure. I think we got it. Yeah. Okay. So now what we want to do is take a piece of tearing tape and we want to put it on the one side only, the outside of that smallest image. Okay. Take our tearing tape. Almost looks like I need to trim. See my little thing there? I'm just going to take some snips and trim that before I glue anything down. There you go, fixed. Okay, so now we'll take the Well, I'm having issues with this tape today, aren't I? Do you guys hear my dog in the background? She's such a drama queen. She's a little upset I'm not paying attention to her. I got a new puppy and she's just a doll. She's a 65-pound puppy right now, but she's still a dream. Okay, now, before you stick that down, square it up in your DSP piece, okay? You can visually square it up. To the large image, okay? And then, oops, I moved it. And then press it down. Okay? And that, sorry about that, creates your flip. That simple. Doink. Okay, so now, got it just a tad crooked, but that's okay. Now we want to attach it to here, and we're going to do that with dimensionals so that your pull tab can pull freely. It's a lot simpler than you would think by looking at it. And I am not a fun fold girl. I am terrible at it. Some of them I manage and muddle my way through, but this is such a fun interactive card. I just really had to try it. And to put myself on tape doing it and got it right the first time is pretty amazing. Alright, so let's... Now we'll center this one on our card base. Look at that. There you go. See? Okay, now I want to add some ribbon to that just because. Just kind of, one, it gives people the idea of, hey, it's a pull tab. And it makes it easier to pull. So I have a little piece of ribbon here, which off the top of my head I can't remember the name of, but it's listed in the supplies below. So I'm going to take and pull my tab out a little. I'm going to fold it in half. I guess I should have done this before I connected it to the card. Might have been easier. Yeah, I know, don't judge. You've been there, you've done it. It's this little detailed stuff I have a little trouble with. Okay, so then we pulled our loop through. And then we'll just tuck these through. And I like to, just so, especially if your ribbon's a little tougher, is I like to take a little glue dot. Just going to put it right there, so that when you pull it, it glues the two pieces of ribbon together right there. See there? It's nice and solid. And we'll just trim off our edges. Cut that one a little short, didn't I? I'll cut that at an angle. And there you go. Look at this fun little card. Doink. And then you open it up and you have your greeting. But, you know what? We can't go without blinging it up. So I'm going to bring in our adhesive back snowflakes. I'm also going to bring in our snowflake sequins. And this is my new jar of snowflake sequins because last week I opened the jar and it went everywhere. I mean, there was like no saving it. It was bring the vacuum in, say goodbye. Right now there's still sequins traveling through my house. I know a lot of people hate sequins during the holidays on their cards. That's probably why. So let's just add a few little snowflakes here and there. Let's add some of these white ones. I'm going to lay them out here where I can see them. Let's put one here, maybe one there. You know, sometimes it's all about the extras. So these are this snowflake sequins also has little what do you call those? Just lost the name. Anyway, you can add some more different sizes there. Stick them in your glue. What is the name of those sequins? They're not. Maybe it's just sequins. Add a couple. Let's add one more colorful one here. There we go. Let's do that. And there you go. Looky there. There's your fun little pull tab flip card. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Continue on the blog hop to win a free prize. As always, giving away a really fun product. All you have to do is leave a comment, and you can enter one time per blog. So do the hop, leave your comment, hashtag Stamp It Contest. You'll be entered one time for each blog that you comment on. So I hope you have a fabulous and happy stamping day. Bye-bye now.